Hi there YouTube, Mark Vergier here, and yeah, this is a video that I've been wanting to make for quite some time, and that's a video about the Xbox 360. This is my original controller from back in the day, and this actually is my original system from back in the day. It's a Red Ring of Death. About a year and a half ago, I believe, I got the special Lost Planet faceplate. I totally love this system. Has a 120 gigabyte hard drive, and I'm actually planning on restoring this by opening it up and doing a reflow of the GPU-CPU combination like John the Stick is actually doing. Now, what is so special? What is so special about the Xbox 360? It's celebrating its 10th birthday, I believe. When it came out, it was released in Amsterdam. Actually, that was the world premiere, and I got it on release day. And I did get an upgrade to the hard drive because the original hard drive was a tad even less, I believe, but yeah, you just plug it in like that. I got it at release date, and what was totally amazing about this system was that it had online gaming built in. I mean, the previous generation, the Xbox original, the Dreamcast, the PlayStation, they all had network adapters. Well, the Dreamcast had a modem, but they promised, they hinted at online gaming, but this system actually had a great online capability with as a main component of the thing that drew me in, the Xbox Live experience, where you can play all sorts of online games stored on the hard drive and have online scoreboards, leaderboards, trophies, points. A really nice system where it was very easy to get online and hang out with friends and play games, and it became easier and easier and easier over time. The fact that it came out in the Netherlands, the fact that for once we weren't last, that we didn't have to wait for a year and a half for it to become available, that was amazing. The fact that it was a world premiere at the old Gasfabriek in Amsterdam basically meant that this system was available in Dutch shops and in Dutch retail stores from day one. And we've been playing a ton of games, and this actually is the first game, the first system that both Elise, my wife, and myself, we played to death. Elise was pretty big on the online, on the Xbox Live, arcade games, puzzle games, light games, and of course I played them a lot too. And I also played a lot of disc-based games. Of course, it was somewhat backwards compatible with the original Xbox, so games like Outrun, Coast to Coast, and some of the other games actually were available for it, but compatibility was a bit of a hit and miss. So it was very good to keep your original Xbox around, because this baby would not run all the games. And if it ran the game, then you could run into problems. Games like Project Gotham Racing, for example. I mean, what made me get into the Xbox 360, actually was the fact that I was heavily invested in the Dreamcast. And in the Dreamcast there was this awesome racing game, Metropolis Street Racer, and its spiritual successor, Project Gotham Racing, came out on the original Xbox, I believe, Project Gotham Racing 1 and 2. and great racing games, very amazing visuals, but also arcade racing. Now, when this came out, this was home to Project Gotham Racing 3 and 4. And basically this and the Halo games were actually the things that actually made me go out and buy this console, go for this console. And I mean, it performed a lot better than our PlayStation 2, which I had been using with the Dreamcast for a long time. My gaming PC was kind of lagging behind because, yeah, I wasn't keeping it up to date to the max spec. So this actually provided me with a solid gaming platform, very much akin to my experience of the original PlayStation. On the original PlayStation, I got into that because I was just sick and tired of, you know, the hardware upgrades, the incompatibility issues and stuff. So yeah, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, that was a big, you know, a solid platform where you could invest in, and where the gaming experience was a solid gaming experience, and you would be, you know, happy playing the games. And the Xbox 360 also did that for me. Of course, there was a big online component. I really bought into the downloadable content thing back then, not realizing that it was actually tied to the machine in such a way that if you were not online and the machine could not verify that you had a license to play the live games, the full games, they would revert to their original demo state. The fact that you could also try out a ton of games in demo state, and that you could actually go out just with a click of a button and buy the full games, that was really a big draw for me. And I ended up with quite a few games that I got on resale. So that really got me suckered into the downloadable content, the downloadable games. And when this Red Ring of Death and I got a second Xbox, I found out that it was actually tied to this machine, that you could actually download the content on another machine, and that you would have to activate that machine to be able to play the games offline on that new machine. So basically it's tied to the machine. That's the way it works. And that was a big downer for me because you cannot just, you know, take out, if the system wouldn't work anymore, you just cannot take out, you know, this hard drive, plug it into another hard drive and expect it to work. No, it's actually synchronized and, you know, encrypted to work on this single system. So yeah, that was a big downside to it, but I amassed a ton of games. And the cool thing about it is that the successor of this system, the Xbox One, actually introduced backwards compatibility in an even better fashion than this system did, because it actually allows you to play quite a few of the Xbox 360 games and the Xbox Live games that I was playing on this system. So the Xbox is turning into more or less a platform, and perhaps at the E3 Microsoft will actually announce that the Xbox platform, probably with the Xbox 360, Xbox One, will actually become available on the PC as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the PC has a certain spec, then it probably is on par with the Xbox One specifications, and probably you'll be able to access the Xbox on PC and Xbox as well. So they are moving away from the hardware thing, I guess, and more or less turn it into some sort of service. I mean, it's a honking console. It's big, and this is how it looks on its when it's flat. This metallic I mean, it gets stained and it's perhaps a bit cheap looking, and there were a ton of issues with the original Red Ring of Death. There was cooling issues and stuff. This actually worked for a long time for me, this system. This actually held up until 2014, I believe, and then it red ringed on me, and I got some smaller systems. I actually have a couple of backup systems, and I even got the latest Xbox that really has the same design features as the Xbox One, which has a whopping hard drive, a whopping huge hard drive, and I'll be able to download all the games and sign them to that console. I'll have to do it before the support of the Xbox 360 runs out, and then I'll have basically more or less new system that allows me to play all the games offline, which is a good thing. The cool thing about the Xbox 360, because I also had a PlayStation 3, is that the patches and the downloads were relatively small, and they could all fit on a very small hard drive. The Xbox 360 didn't come with a huge hard drive, so basically perhaps that's the reason for it. Basically that made the updates of the games rather small and very manageable. If you look on the PlayStation 3 side of things, the updates are huge, and they really are large, and they take a long time to download. But basically the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 are pretty much the last generation of consoles that pretty much play the games from disk. You don't have to install it on the hard drive necessarily. You do install the patches, but you play the games from disk. Later generation of consoles, they just don't play the games from disk anymore. They basically have turned into PCs where you just insert the physical media, you install it, and you download an update, which pretty much often is the same size as the physical data. And yeah, you could just totally do away with physical media, and I actually have. I mean, I don't like digital downloads. I load them, but on the Xbox 360, I have pretty much eliminated physical media altogether. Most of the games that I play are digital downloads. I've hooked up a 3 terabyte hard drive, and yeah, basically all the games that I play are digital download, because I have to get up and install, get a disk, put it in the drive for it to recognize that I have a license to play what is on the hard drive, and then it just plays it all off the hard drive. So basically there's no use for me to have physical media, because the media that's on the disk, the game that's on the disk is actually not let's see if there's, yeah, that's I'm just getting rid of a piece of dust on the monitor. So basically what's on the disk is, you know, you have to download it and install it anyway. So the disks basically are useless. They're just keys, physical keys for you to be able to play the games. Now you do need servers for the games to be accessible, and why not go all digital, you know? There's no point in collecting for the newer consoles, for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because, you know, you're dependent on the servers. So I mean, of course there's nothing against buying those games, but you can't collect them. You can't just put them on the shelf and expect them to work in 20 years time. So this, for me, the Xbox 360, the experience that I got from it is actually quite similar to the experience I got from the original PlayStation. When I got the PlayStation, I got a promise of huge worlds, lengthy games, incredible depth of games, a wide, vast array of different games, and actually the Xbox 360 also lived up to that. There's a ton of you know, typical Western games, but there's also a lot of Japanese shooters on there, and it really is a system that has a very huge library. And actually my gaming collection actually I mean, the PlayStation 2 has the largest number of discs in my collection, but I guess the largest number of games probably should go to the Xbox 360. I have a database, an online database where all the games are listed. I haven't listed all the downloaded games on the Xbox 360, but there must be like 240, 250 games that I own, that I use in digital form on the Xbox 360. Now, with the Xbox One opening up the game library of the 360, bit by bit, it's actually amazing. I love that because that allows me to just continue to enjoy my Xbox library. Because that's the thing that's really a major drawback of consoles, the fact that they're closed. That it is not necessarily the case that the newer system will actually play the older system, so you have breaks in the library. Now, Sony always was very good at bringing in the previous consoles. The first PlayStation 3 was PlayStation 2 backwards compatible, PlayStation 1 backwards compatible. Sony, in its infinite wisdom, decided that giving access to the old games is actually something that you can earn money with. So they took away the PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility, but they put it in back in the PlayStation 3, but only through digital downloads. Now, Microsoft with the Xbox One has done a great thing, because they've made it free. So if you own a game on the Xbox 360, whether or it's in digital download form or in physical media form, you'll be able to access it for free if it's compatible, if it's been made available on the new console. And I think that actually is a very cool and very nice thing to do. What would even be cooler, but probably that's not going to happen. Not sure why actually, but I'm hoping for E3 actually to, that they announce that the Xbox One platform will just encompass the entire range of Xbox consoles. But it would be so cool if the original Xbox games would also be made available on the Xbox One for gameplay for free, because there's a huge library, a huge number of games that are just still to this day hold up pretty well, and they're excellent, and that would be awesome. So probably never going to happen, but that would be awesome. So hooking up with friends online, comparing high scores, being able to communicate, being able to easily get together, do online gaming. Yeah, that's a cool thing. This is actually the first system that I really experienced online gaming with, and I got a headset, and I experienced the 14-year-olds that were just mouthing off and giving every other gamer a hard time. That actually made me just say, I'm just only going to play with my direct friends, with the people that I know. Then I'll be able to play online, chat, and have a good time. I'm not going to play online with strangers. So this, similar to the original PlayStation, really made available even more broader games, because if you compare the storage on a CD, which is the PlayStation 2, and if you put that to the PlayStation 2 with the DVD and the Xbox 360, then you'll find that the games, the size of the games, and the experience that you'll be able to get from a single game is just amazing. It's just huge. Of course, the original Xbox did that with the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, with the Blu-ray. I think the Xbox, even though there were hardware issues, the PlayStation 3 also had hardware issues. The Xbox 360, especially with the later incarnations of the console, actually provided a stellar experience. And yeah, even though this is broken, I'm just going to keep it because I really love the way it looks, and I'm hoping to be able to revive it in some form or shape. And yeah, I just think it looks stellar with the Lost Planet special faceplate. That also was a very nice thing. I mean, if you had a nice game, I got this for free. I was going to Net Games, I believe, and we were talking about the new Xbox that was there, and faceplates and stuff. And they actually gave me this faceplate for free. Just, I was talking to the guys that were just behind the counter, and yeah, we were just sharing our amazement with the new Xbox, and they just gave me this faceplate, so I stuck it on, and it's never it never came off since. So yeah, it's just a matter of snapping it on, and it really looks very nice, I think. So even though it's broken, I'm going to keep it around, and perhaps I'll be able to reflow it like John Ferguson does. It really holds a very special place in my heart. Also, the controller. Elise, my wife, actually destroyed her controller because this analog on her controller just has a deviation to the right, so it's actually unusable. So we've marked that, but we kept it, and yeah. There's actually my Quark 70. That's actually yeah, the mark that this is my controller. And yeah, the quality of the analog sticks is actually quite good, and this controller to this day works. I've got this analog, what is it? I've got this dongle for the PC, and I'm actually using this on my PC. Very akin to the DualShock controller, and I love everything about it. It's very nice and comfortable in my hands. I have huge hands, and the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 controller, I've got one here. It's a bit smaller. The prongs are a bit smaller, so it feels a bit cramped and congested. Even, yeah, cramped. It feels small in my hands. Even though I just love the PlayStation 3 controller, and this one has, I mean, it's all smoothed out, and it really has been played a lot. I mean, I love the PlayStation 3 as well, but this controller actually I prefer. And some people dislike the fact that the analog sticks are in different places, but I just think it's good. The one major pet peeve I have with this controller is the fact that the D-pad actually is quite rotten on it. Why is it rotten? Because it's very unprecise, and that's because the board where the buttons actually are registered is very low in this controller, and there's a lot of plastic going down for it to register, and it's just not a very responsive and good analog controller. They did manage to improve on that with later revisions of this controller. They were sold separately, and they actually have an improved D-pad. It's not very obvious. I mean, they're not branded like different D-pad, new D-pad, but the latest Xbox controllers that came with different, some are metallic blue. I've got a metallic blue one that actually has the improved D-pad. They also came with camouflage colors and stuff, the specialized controllers. They had a better D-pad, but this pretty much has not changed. On the new Xbox One is actually quite similar to this, and very nice analog triggers. The rest are digital except these, and it has held up very well. And I think the controller really, the buttons are of a very high quality, so I guess the controller is actually quite a huge well, they're quite expensive still. So, and they use Torx screws to get in. I'm using a regular battery pack. I've also got wired controllers. Sometimes I prefer wired controllers because you know, you don't have to worry about batteries and stuff. But the quality of the controller actually surpasses that of the PlayStation 2, Xbox One era. Much more precise, and yeah, I just love the funky colors and stuff. So later revisions came in black, but I'm very partial to the white, and actually the color has held up pretty well. I haven't seen my Xbox One controllers or my Xbox controllers yellow, and this system also hasn't yellowed, but they may actually start to once they get even a bit older, I guess. Yeah, I just love this machine. I'm just, yeah, this is one of my favorite machines. Still is. I prefer this over the Xbox One. And what makes the Xbox One a nicer system for me is the fact that it actually enables me to play quite a few of my Xbox 360 games. So, you know, my library gets larger, but I think I only have like 3 or 4 or 5 physical Xbox One games. And yeah, I have a ton more Xbox 360 games. So yeah, this is just my small homage to the Xbox 360. I think it is one of the best consoles out there for the Western market. I guess the PlayStation 3 always had a bigger following in Japan. The Xbox 360 is yeah, it's not a big system in Japan. Same goes for the Xbox One and the original Xbox. But yeah, I'm just keeping this around. It looks good with my shirt. It looks good with my custom build C64. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of the system, and I will be. And actually, the games, and that's also something that's actually quite interesting. I guess if you look at the games that are available on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, the difference to me doesn't seem that high. I mean, there's a higher polygon count, perhaps the number of polygons on screen is a bit higher, but basically the game, what it does basically is the same. And I guess a lot of the newer console games could actually also have been port to the previous console, to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, if they were to tone down the graphical qualities and stuff. What does set the new generation, the current generation apart, is the fact that they may actually be able to support VR in the future. But both of the systems, and I think the PlayStation 4 as well as the Xbox One, will require hardware upgrades. The PlayStation 4, Sony has been hinting on the PlayStation VR, the PlayStation 4K. Probably the VR experience with PlayStation VR will not be as good with the original PlayStation compared to the new higher spec systems coming out. And as we speak, I've just saw some videos of people telling all sorts of bringing all sorts of information on the E3 Xbox One releases that are expected, like an Xbox Scorpio, which has a 4K gaming capability, which also might even support the Oculus Rift, natively, which of course is excellent because I mean, if you have a beefy gaming PC, if you need a beefy gaming PC and you have to install graphics cards and stuff and all sorts of stuff, I mean, it will not make VR available in a sort of monkey-proof way to the regular customer. So it actually makes sense for a company like Oculus Rift to pair up with Xbox with Microsoft to make it available on a higher spec version of the Xbox One. And normally I would say, keep a generation of, the 360, I'm just going to log it up again. The 360, this is 10 years old. There's still games been made for it. Microsoft has recently just ceased production of it, but it basically has remained of similar specs. Of course there's Slims out there, but they don't offer an enhanced gaming experience, and that made investing in the Xbox as a platform a sensible thing to do. Now, the Xbox, even with its newer incarnations, it's a single console. You know that you really need to have an Elite or up if you are expecting a sound hardware experience, a dependable hardware experience. PlayStation 3 also, the newer, from the Slim and up, you have pretty much a good system experience without the red light of the orange light, the yellow light of death. Now, with the hardware improvements on the PlayStation platform, the PlayStation VR, the PlayStation 4K, and with the Xbox Scorpio, it will cause. There basically are new consoles, so I'm very curious how the gaming industry and actually the consumers will respond to that. They might actually flock to it like birds. I'm probably gonna flock to it. I'm really looking forward to a solid VR experience, and I'm looking into the HTPC, the HD Vive. I don't have enough room to set it up, perhaps in the garage, but I'm not gonna put a high quality gaming PC in the garage just for HD Vive. The Oculus Rift was a solid option because it was supposed to be open source, but recently actually I discovered that Oculus made it actually closed source, despite the CEO claiming that it would be open source, preventing people from modifying some stuff and running HD Vive apps. And still you need a beefy PC with a special CPU type and up, a special hardware graphics card and up. And it would be very nice if you could just get a box or get a system that was actually VR certified, where you would have no problems playing all the games with VR 1.0 certified or something. I'm really looking forward to VR because that's something that the 360 is not capable of. The Xbox One, the current gen console, is actually quite excellent because it provides me with backwards compatibility in my old games, and gives me a glimpse of the future where I'm able to play perhaps VR games. And if that will be the case with an Xbox Scorpio, an Xbox One Scorpio, I might actually jump the barrel and just go for that. I'm not sure. Going the PC route seems to be the most healthy option to choose, because then you will be able to move between the various platforms and stuff, and it's not as closed as the Xbox One. But perhaps the Xbox One platform will actually come to the PC, where we actually might see the possibilities of running Xbox One games on the PC natively. Who knows? I'm very curious after E3 and what is all in store for that. And I think the Xbox 360 is basically what kept me invested in gaming, in console gaming, and not just retro gaming. And that is something that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One until now have failed to do so, but with the promise of a VR compatibility, these systems really, are drawing me in. I'm not sure which camp I'll choose. I mean, for a while I thought, even though I've gotten this iPhone 6 of Alan Stewart, I may still go for an extra Samsung phone just to be able to experience the Samsung VR. I just want a solid VR experience, and not this VHS Betamax thing that's basically going around. I mean, everybody is coming up with their own VR games, their own VR platforms, and they're not compatible. And I think that causes a fragmentation of the market and might even cause a loss of consumer trust, perhaps even a loss of investor trust. I think the people that are facilitating VR should really get their act together and perhaps even introduce cross compatibility, with the HTC Vive. Having the motion, the free range of motion thing, with the Oculus Rift being available on mobile platforms as well as the PC and perhaps the Xbox. Good times, and actually I think I was a PC gamer, and then that great, fantastic gray black box, the PlayStation, that came out, that really got me hooked into console gaming again. The PlayStation 2 actually sort of elongated that. It really solidified my gaming library. It's the biggest library of that I have. The Xbox One was very interesting, but it was a bit lackluster for me. But I did get into it because some of the games were actually a lot better on the Xbox One, or the Xbox original, than on the PlayStation 2. But the 360 really was a game changer for me. And of course I got a PlayStation 3 because, I'm a gamer, I'm a geek, I'm, an early adopter. I want the stuff at my fingertips. And I have quite a large library of PlayStation 3 games. But the Xbox 360, the original PlayStation, those really got me excited about console gaming. And I guess VR is something that really gets me excited about gaming. Also Android game. I mean, I've done a lot of Android videos. Android gaming also is very interesting. Android handheld gaming is very interesting. And VR, that's actually the next thing that really gets me interested in gaming. And what I'm contemplating right now is what I should go for. I've set aside some funds, and I will be able to get a decent Vibe, HTC Vibe solution. I will be able to, get an Oculus Rift capable PC with the Oculus. But I'm wondering if it's the good time to jump on board. And that's something that is actually quite interesting. So I'm actually waiting for E3 for some more information to see how it will all play out. Because, the VR experience that I did have were just amazing. I remember I retain my experience in a very different way than when I'm just playing a game on screen. My memories of my VR experiences are very similar to, visits to real places. And perhaps it's just the way my brain works. Perhaps other people share that same type of experience. But yeah, I've had experiences, that VR experiences, that are etched in my mind like genuine experiences, like I've genuinely been somewhere. So that's quite something. and it may actually pose some problems for people with psychological issues, or or people with schizophrenia or something. Yeah. Anyways, this is my Waffle Xbox 360 tribute video. The Xbox 360 will always have a very special place in my heart. Now I've been waffling for about 40 minutes, which is very long, and I'm very curious if anyone was actually watching until the last moment. If so, please let me know in the comments. Cool! Mark signing off, and I'll be back with another video soon.